Sometimes we forget why we're here. It's easy to fall off track. These help us remember.
These battle scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battles.
Growing up, I had a dream, something no one else could see. Tell me what it means when your faith is falling beneath your knees and you can't breathe. Everything you see reminds you of what you're not or something you won't be. You gotta take what you're given, that's how we live it. Don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking like they politicians and choose to be an accountant because it's safe in a business. Not because they wanna do it, just because they heard it pays. And who the fuck wants to be poor knowing that's how we've been raised? Society is getting heavy, I can feel the weight. The pressure of success is like 100 million pounds of shame. And that's the reason I'm staying up late, trying to find a way to escape the stereotypes this day and age is making me feel like the only way I'll be happy is getting signed to a label and making money through rapping. I wanna share my emotion because this world is attacking the very principle of life that lets the people be happy. If you don't have a reason to breathe, why even live? These battle scars are impressions of everything that it is.
Don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battle scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battles.
Now if I had a voice that reached 100 million people, I'd tell them there's a reason that we're all created equal. Cause some decide to be great and some decide a sequel to an average person's life is simply what they want to be. So you make your decision, all I know is what I'm given. Won't define the life I lead or the way I dwell in existence. I've seen a greater image on the walls of where I'm living, and the words twisted and scripted remind me of something written. Faith is a gift that is given down to the people. If one believes it, one receives it. It's given if it is needed. Don't ever think you're trapped in a life that you never wanted. Your options are infinite, that's some mathematical logic. I'm not saying I'm a prophet, I'm speaking for what it's worth. These lyrics define my prayers and these battle scars on my church. Not saying I'm a prophet, I'm speaking for what it's worth. These lyrics define my prayers, these battle scars on my church.
Don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battle scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battles.
Well, oh, my green screen's on. I'm like, why does that look so strange? Well, hello, everyone. There we go. How are you doing? I hope you are... Oh, I didn't fix Bunchy. I've been so busy. So I'm just telling y'all... And look, all of the old comments were up there for a second. That was weird. Okay. I'm behind on a lot of stuff. I'm just telling you that right now. Bunchy is freaking out. I gotta fix Bunchy. I've got to fix my closing screen. I got some new patrons today, and I am so grateful for that. So thank you. I'm going to do my little shilling right now that if you enjoy this content, because I hadn't really been pushing this and the economy is bad and gas is $1 million a gallon, it's been rough on creators. And I really do need to... I need to make up some patrons because people's financial situations has changed. So if you enjoy this type of content, yes, Dave, Bunchy is freaking the hell out. I've got to fix him. I don't know how that happened, but I know it's very distracting. He's like Bunchy on crack. And I still want to download the sound effect for Bunchy, which, I mean, it's fantastic. And hello, JJ. So yes, patreon.com/Pink Flame of Liberty. I did pick up a couple new patrons today. Again, I am super, super grateful. I'm probably not going to be able to update my closing screen to give proper thanks and to add my Twitter subscribers until this weekend. It's been rough. Hey, Kathy. it's been a rough week between just considering all the issues that we have to consider on the National Committee and the fact that, you know, you guys don't see all of this, but there's been some really terrible people over the past, ever since New Mexico attempted to disaffiliate. It remains to be seen whether the LNC is going to recognize it or not, which will be a political decision in addition to a parliamentary and legal one. But I've gotten a fair amount of harassment. It's been only a handful of people, but it's not been a pleasant week. I mean, this is not that you sign up for harassment, but you do sign up for people getting aggressive with you when you're in this position. So I'm not really complaining. I'm just stating it's been a rough week. And, you know, that's the way it goes. You know, people have the right to vent and say what they want. But, you know, if you're wondering why I've been so busy, that's kind of why. And we're gonna, tonight and tomorrow will be a history show, because by the 1st, I gotta finish. I gotta finish this LP News. But before we get to that, I'm going to address something that I addressed on Facebook. I know not everyone gets to see Facebook, but I'm really sick and tired of there's lines that don't get crossed. And I know people in the past LNC, they had no boundaries. So it's not surprising to me that some of them are crossing a line. But this is directly relevant to a history show. And again, I put this on my Facebook, but rather than just dealing with LNC decisions or things about which there can be legitimate disagreement. And as I said, you know, when you run to be an officer of the National Party, you kind of sign up for this. So, you know, that's one thing. But Richard Longstreth going after my integrity and my historical work, that crosses a line. I want to let you guys know. So those are two distinct roles I have. And shame on him for politicizing the historical committee. Anyone can come to our meetings. We are not a political committee. We do not take sides. When even anyone tries to bring up last year the issues that went on with me, I'm like, what the LNC does or doesn't do has nothing to do with us. My disputes with the LNC did not come into the historical committee. We do not get involved in internal politics on that committee. And shame on him for bringing issues that were LNC issues to impugn my historical work. That is just turning around and completely shitting on a volunteer in a completely separate capacity. You guys don't know a lot of what I've done with the historical committee. And it's not just me. I mean, there's a ton of people. A lot of this work is done in the background. It's not glory work. It's not work that a lot of people see. They may see some of the results of it and on Alpedia. But since this committee started in 2017, I'm going to estimate how much hours I've put into it. I average, some weeks it's more, 10 hours a week since 2017. So let's just say at 10 hours a week, that's 500 hours a year. So 2017, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. So I put in about 3,000 hours into this. How dare he? How dare he shit on somebody that would give that much of their professional time to impugn their integrity without any proof? I don't care what he says about me as LNC secretary. Again, I signed up for that in running for a very, very public position. But committee volunteers in their roles as committee volunteers, that's way over the line, dude. And he should be shamed to kingdom come for that. For him to insinuate that I would take historical records from 2000 and fraudulently edit them. A, it's easily disprovable that that didn't happen, because if you go to Lpedia and you look at the minutes, there is a edit history. I want to just, you know, if you're going to accuse somebody of something that terrible, of course, you know, he voted to remove me from the LNC on no fucking proof too. But again, LNC is completely different from a volunteer committee. I want to show you guys something. I am so incensed over this. You have no idea. It'd be like, but you know, it'd be like me, because I don't particularly care for him, finding something he did as a volunteer and just completely slandering him when it has absolutely nothing to do with his role on the LNC. I would never, ever do that. How fucking gross can you get? That is way over the line. Okay, I'm looking for these minutes from 1999. I can't remember what minutes they were in. I think it was the August minutes. If you give me 1 second here. I'm looking for the Arizona, disaffiliation. Okay, here it is. 1 second. I've just lost it again. Give me 1 sec. So I'm going to pull up my screen here in a minute because I want to show you guys what I'm looking at. You don't accuse people of something like that without proof. So frickin' gross. Okay, I'm going to share my screen here. I'm going to show you the minutes we were looking at, and you could do this for any set of minutes. Okay, let me share my screen here a second, and I'll need to just turn off the chat for 1 second, and this will be helpful to you guys just in general. So, are you seeing my screen? Yeah, you're seeing Lpedia here. Okay, so if you see, those are LNC minutes from 1999. If you look here, you'll see that these were uploaded December of 2019. If this file had been edited and re-uploaded, you would see the file history here. Unless I had a fucking crystal ball that in 2019 that there was gonna be some point I was gonna wanna prove in 2022, or I had a time machine and I went back and edited a file from 2019. He could have went and looked at this. This is basic Wiki, how wikis work. This file was uploaded and has not been touched since December 6, 2019. How fucking dare you? Okay, let me go back here. So out of line. So where is he getting this from? Because he's ass mad that I moved to amend in the open, not sneakily, not redacting. I moved to amend some minutes that had glaring errors from last term, because that LNC didn't even bother to proofread them. Richard's own name was misspelled in the minutes. That was one of the changes I made, because last I checked, his name wasn't Logstreth. I also moved to amend the minutes because someone who had resigned from the LNC 6 weeks prior was still listed as being on the LNC. The secretary was listed as the treasurer. The date was wrong in the footers. There were serious, glaring errors in our party's official record. The LNC secretary is legally responsible and per our bylaws for making sure that our party official records are correct. It's not my fault that their asses didn't do basic proofreading of minutes, so that in a new term I had to go back and move to amend them. All of that was done in open session. The old version is still available on the LNC list. A log of the changes is on the LNC list. Using a motion that is perfectly in order under Roberts when you discover errors in the minutes, to try to say that I would sneakily amend historical records when I've given 5,000 hours of this. He ought to be a persona non grata for doing that. Gross. Anyway, and of course he's super super ass mad by the fact that a footnote, or marginal note more like it, was put in the minutes from September when they fraudulently removed me, saying that my removal was reversed. He doesn't like that. He says that's revising history. No, it isn't. It's documenting history. It was reversed. When you have your good name completely thrown through the mud. Can you imagine if you were in a court of law? Now, I know a court of law is much more serious, but the analogy is on point. And you got convicted of something, and then later on your conviction got reversed. Wouldn't you want the record noting that? Or do you want it forever on your good name that's keeping you from getting employment? Frickin' gross. So I wanted to get that all on the record. Way above the beyond the line. Criticize me as secretary all you want. I don't care. I'd ignore it. You don't shit on my historical work. All right. But now we're back. And we're speaking of historical work. Maybe I typed these up in my basement and it's all made up. We're gonna try to go through what else is here. Yeah, I'm a bit hot under the collar on that. Okay, I'm trying to remember here what we did not cover. So some of these things we're not going to go over in full, but I want to show you. You see here, starting with this LP News, they start listing all of the state chairs, and this is fantastic. I'm going to be excuse me, hiccups. I'm going to be extracting this information into LPedia because our historical listing of state chairs is woefully. Maybe I should go back in my time machine and put me as state chair of all these parties. It's woefully inadequate. So this is fantastic. I'm going to try to see if there's any of these names I recognize, but let's go through them quickly. The names of state chairs as of this date. Oh, and there's a little asterisk here for Alabama. It says national affiliation pending. Interesting. And same thing. Oh, there's a bunch of asterisks. So Alabama, Indiana, Montana, North Carolina, and South Carolina all had affiliation pending. But here are the chairs. Not going to say what state it is. We're just going to, maybe you'll recognize some of these names. Harvey Crumhorn, Paul Baird, Ken Lefebvre. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. Franklin Sanders, Ed Clark. We all know Ed Clark. He was one of our, he was on our ticket. William Froh. That's a chair of Colorado. I've never heard of him. Fran Moore and Bob Loomis, there were co-chairs in Connecticut. Oh, and Connecticut is also affiliation pending. So that probably, it was a group to form the party. Charles Breeden, J. Ralph Compton, Jerry Dixon, Steve Nelson, Paul Hyatt. Kansas is also affiliation pending. The asterisks really tiny. Dale Wilson, Paul Siegler, Clayton Sparky Hall, William Bobick, David Long, Gregory Clark, Richard Kleinow, Robert Miller, James Burns. That's Jim Libertarian Burns. We've done shows on him before. For those of you who don't know, in Nevada, they wouldn't put the Libertarian Party on the ballot. So this guy was so hardcore that he changed his name to Libertarian Burns, so that the word libertarian, he legally changed his name and said he went by his middle name. So he changed his name to Jim Libertarian Burns, so that the word libertarian would appear on the ballot. How hardcore is that? That guy is an OG. My God. Okay, Frank Anderson, Jane Remke, Morris McDonald, Ray Strong, Douglas Lerner, Sharon Cook, Thomas Laurent, Richard Gray, William Chauncey, Charles Blackwell, James Forster, Mike Holmes, I know him. I know Mike. He's no longer with the LP, but he still writes me occasionally. He was the editor of a very, it was not an official publication, but he had a newspaper, basically. It was a big newsprint called American Libertarian. George Chapman, I think I know him too. J. Keen Holland, H.W. Skip Barron, and Jim Millard. So those were the state chairs. Okay. On the back here, we haven't covered this, so I'm going to now pull up the issue, so that means the comments are going to go off the screen. Oh, but before we do that, remember, all super chats matter. I've got to grift, baby. Born to grift. Okay. All right, so let me find what page this is that we're going to be going over these. Right here. News notes. Bunchy. Settle down, Bunchy. I know I'm worked up. But it looks like Bunchy is all worked up too. You know what? JJ, I need that link again. I need that Bunchy link. Because, I'm... the sound he makes. Hold on. I want to try to find this. Because this is going to be a permanent sound effect in my show. So Bunchy the llama, what's it called? Is it this one? Oh my God. Yeah, okay. You guys got to see this. You guys got to see this. Hold on. Let's go back to here. Oh my God, I know I'm really going on a tangent, but Bungie makes me smile, and I really need to smile right now. Okay, here's Bungie. That's not the one with the good sound, though. Where's the one, JJ, with the good... Oh my God, look at all those Bunchies. I want to see all these. How many are on the screen? I want to see. Yeah, I want to get the one that JJ sent me. You have to email it to me so I can play that, because the sound effect on that one is fantastic. Is this it? JJ sent me the 10 hours of Bunchy. Okay. Okay, when JJ sends me the good one, we'll go back. We'll go back to Bunchy. In the meantime, we're gonna go back to LP News. JJ, let me know when you email me that. Remember, I can't get Facebook on this computer because I don't know my password. All right, news notes, facts of interest. But you thought the prime rate was around 12%. Holy crap, that's big, isn't it? Isn't that high? Well, it is for those of us in the USA. If you're the Portuguese government, though, you've just managed to get a 7% loan from our government to support an airline. The amount? 25.8 million. And if you're the Yugoslavian government, you've just gotten a $176 million loan at the same rate. And if you're the Israeli government, you've just been forgiven $500 million worth of debt outright. That must have been their college loans. Bull what? It says a man was fined $10,000 and given a 90-day jail term for smuggling bull semen into the United States. I didn't expect that. I don't read these ahead of time. Why was somebody smuggling bull semen into the United States? Smuggling bull semen is a federal crime. That's a lot of semen. Oh, withering away. The Department of Consumer Affairs was formed to handle consumer complaints. It was a bull market. Oh, let me put this on the screen. Mutual freedom said. Oh my God. Okay, so a spokesman for the department says that such complaints are down to a trickle. What's a bureaucracy to do? We are actively soliciting complaints, said the spokesman. Voting wrongs. Ralph Nader recently proposed that voting in the United States be made mandatory. Oh, I've done a whole show on whether voting should be mandatory. God, that was probably about a year and a half ago. If you search my channel, if I remember, I'll put it up in, you know, the YouTube cards. I never remember that, though. What's the timestamp on this video? So I know. So at like 27 minutes, I need to stick a card up there if I remember. Because I did a whole show on whether voting should be mandatory. After the 1974 primary turnout was the lowest in recent memory. Can't imagine why. Voting being mandatory in many other countries, of course, notable Australia, where you're fined $10 if you don't vote. And Guatemala, you have to vote if you're literate, but if you're illiterate, the option is yours. And the Netherlands, it only costs $280 to put up a slate of candidates in an electoral district, resulting in 28 political parties listed on the ballot last year. And Kenya, there are 3 primary qualifications for voting. If you meet only one of them, you only get 1 vote. If you meet 2 out of the 3, you get 2 votes. Wow. And you get 3 votes if you meet all 3. Is that still the case in Kenya? Does anyone know? And Mutual 7 Freedom says the fine's been increased to $500. But I discussed Australia quite a bit on that other show. Bankrupts may not vote in Trinidad and Tobago. Where's that? Tobago. I don't know how to pronounce that. Police and soldiers may not vote in Kuwait. Up to 1961, people receiving public assistance in Denmark were barred from voting. Oh, Bunchy sent to me. Okay, because this sound... what email address, JJ? I'm assuming it's my regular one. Yep, Bunchy screams. Okay, we're gonna go back here to Bunchy in a minute. Oh my God, this sound is fantastic. As I've told people before, this is me reading Andy Craig, but it probably is me reading Richard Longstreth, Tobago. I've only seen it in writing. I've never heard it pronounced, and I just realized it. Yeah, this is me. Hold on, did I share the screen yet? No, I didn't. Okay, so why isn't my screen? Here we go. I'm putting this sound effect on my channel. That's fantastic. Oh, I think I'm going to make that my ringtone on my phone. Wayne is going to be... I love it. Oh my God, that is so good. That is so good. For a while, Wayne's ringtone was the Geico pig going boots and pants and boots and pants. Whoever made that, I love you. That's an old video, I think, too. That's got to be like 12, 13 years old. 2010, 12. See, I've got a good sense for how old. I've had my little bunchy guy there, which is from when I used to own a theology debate forum. That was one of our custom emojis. Okay. Post waste. The Postal Service is considering raising first rate. Look how cheap this is. First class rates again to 13 cents. While elsewhere in the same department, they're advertising stamps that will never be used. The House Communications Committee has approved a bill requiring that most radios be... I think I counted wrong when I was counting the amount of hours I've spent in the historical committee. I don't know what made me think of that. Math, there's a reason why I'm not treasurer. I think it's more like 3,500 hours. Whatever. It's thousands of hours. Oh, me and math aren't friends. And this is more of a recent development, because I actually used to be treasurer of a statewide organization in Florida. I was the treasurer for Gold Coast Via de Cristo. I don't know how I did that, because I am like just downright mental right now when it comes to math. I've just gotten worse and worse with age. The House Communications Committee has approved a bill requiring that most radios be equipped to receive FM as well as AM. What's the reason? Who needs a reason? Next question. So back then it wasn't standard for FM? Like when did I thought FM's been around forever. Is FM like a 1970s? Is FM new? When did FM become popular? Somebody look that up. For others, they sing. I don't like these allegedly clever little things they're putting at the beginning here. I think they're kind of cringe. The government of Quebec spent $100,000 to build a home for 1,000 pigeons. I know AM was first, but when did FM come around? Because it seems like, just reading between the lines in this thing, that most radios were just AM back in the 70s. Okay, and the pigeons decided they didn't like it, and they never moved in. Damn pigeons. The real pigeons, of course, were the taxpayers. Bada bing. Now I understand. The semanticist of the month, goes to Philippines President Ferdinand Marcos, whom U.S. News and World Report quotes as follows. Even the proclamation of martial law and the setting up of a corresponding crisis government is part of democracy. And in accordance with our Constitution. Some call it dictatorship. I call it authoritarianism. Okay, I agree. Oh, thanks for explaining the difference. Oh, and JJ gave some information I want to put on the screen here about AM, FM in case people were curious when they're watching this. Capsule Watergate analysis. By the way, when I went and looked at the convention site for 2024, the Watergate building is right around the corner. The LP's offices used to be in the Watergate building. The American people have witnessed a series of events which every day erodes their trust in government, as if that's a bad thing. Unprincipled opportunism. Back in July, Gerald Ford told a conference of the Urban League that the progress you hope to make in the future will rest on the ability of blacks and other non-white leaders to become successful, pragmatic politicians. Of course, what do you expect from Nixon's vice president? I don't understand. Okay, what am I missing? I don't see what's so outrageous about that statement. I mean, if it's maybe saying pandering, playing the race card perhaps, but I don't get what the problem was with that. Racist! Must have been a Mises person back there. Time machine. I transported Michael Heiss back to 1974. My talents. Yes, I am. By the way, I got asked. Yes, I am wearing a "But Who Will Build the Roads" shirt. Yes, I am. But who will build the frickin' roads, baby? Who will build the houses for the pigeons? Who will keep bull semen out of our country? Okay. And now the good news. Business Week of August 3rd featured an article on the Austrian School of Economics, giving prominence to Israel Kirzner of NYU, Walter Grinder of Rutgers, and of course Murray Rothbard of New York Polytechnic Institute. Okay, next column is, hey Fina, I haven't seen you in so long. Oh my God. I'm going to put your comment up here. I hope you are doing well. And aloha back right at you. Okay, YAF meets. Now, those of you who've watched all of these will know who YAF is, but a lot of people will not. YAF is the predecessor, in a very real sense, YAF is the predecessor to the Libertarian Party. If you watched, and by the way, I did put up on my stream, it's been a year and a half, but it was patron-only content that I said I would release eventually. But my whole series of book discussion on Radicals for Capitalism, was it? Did I put up? Yeah, Radicals for Capitalism is up on my channel. YAF is discussed at length in Radicals for Capitalism. In a very real sense, a split in YAF, which is Young Americans for Freedom, led directly to the Libertarian Party. And then YAF eventually turned, I think there was a period of time in between it, but Young Americans for Liberty, YAF is the predecessor organization. But there was a huge split in YAF, and like a convention just went completely to hell, and because there was a bunch of anarchists, not that that isn't why the convention went to hell, but the more conservative people wanted to throw out the anarchists. They were all running down the hallways yelling and screaming. Yeah. And Fina says running for U.S. Senate is taking most of my time these days. I'm running for town council, so I feel you, but that's nothing like a Senate campaign. All right, so YAF conference meets. In Governor Ronald Reagan's bid for 1976 Republican presidential nomination, he has the enthusiastic support. Okay, for a second I was really confused because this is a 1974 thing, and I'm like, am I reading the wrong date? But no, he must have just announced way ahead of time, because I'm like, how are we talking about 1976? Okay, I got really confused. He has the enthusiastic support of the conservative YAF. The YAFers' affinity for Reagan was apparent in the cheering, chanting, and singing welcome they gave him at a YAF national conference last July, commemorating the 10th anniversary of the nomination of Senator Barry Goldwater. The conference was also an occasion for proselytizing by libertarians. Not only was the conference addressed by John Hospers, but many YAFers and newsmen got a chance to talk with such libertarian notables as, I'm never going to pronounce that word, theoretician Roy Childs and LP chairman Ed Crane. Reagan and Goldwater were the main speakers at the conference's evening banquets on July 18th and 20th, addressing 350 YAFers and their adult supporters. Oh, okay. I just thought that was really weird. I guess they mean maybe the parents. Young Americans for Freedom, though, I thought was like a college organization. It would be adults already. But maybe there was a lot of extremely youthful people in YAF. Reagan told the conference participants July 20th that it was ironic that Goldwater, whom he said the news media and the liberal intellectuals had maligned in 1964, is now viewed by them as a good, honorable fellow. Reagan recalled for the audience the quote-unquote hate-filled rhetoric against Goldwater during 1964, citing as one example the statement of former California Governor Edward Brown Sr. that the stench of fascism was in the air. Shit doesn't change, does it? It just doesn't change. I heard Goldwater was part of that Mises caucus. Yeah. Yeah. I love you, Bunchy. Reagan's speech was a survey of what he considered counterproductive governmental programs and regulations, giving special attention to the proposed and recently defeated federal land use control bill. Reagan also proposed an Industrial Homestead Act designed to spread capital investment. God, this is such tiny type. I'm trying to find it. I can't find it. Where is it? Well, I'm just skipping ahead to the next paragraph. I can't even find where I left off. Goldwater, who spoke July 18th, called the time of his nomination 10 years ago the most memorable of his entire life. He said his nomination was made possible by activists like those in YAF, by young men and women with strong ideals and unyielding principles, by people just like you, people with enormous energy and an unmovable belief in constitutional government, people who were dedicated to the conservative concept of limited government control over the lives and activities of free Americans. Other speakers at the conference included Representative Stephen D. Sims, Republican Idaho, who used to be an anarcho-capitalist, by the way. I think he still was then, but he apostatized. Bad, Stephen. Representative Philip Crane, Republican Illinois, political campaign strategist F. Clifton White, and conservative journalist M. Stanton Evans. What's with all these people who just use a first initial for their name? The YAF conference was not marked by... Oh, this is getting into what I talked about before. The YF conference was not marked by the acrimonious division into conservative and libertarian factions which characterized many of the organization's national meetings during the past decade. Aside from the fact that no policy decisions were made at the conference, the chief reason for the comparative harmony seemed to be the conference's concentration on domestic economic issues. Campus radicalism and the Vietnam War were issues which previously had divided and splintered YAF, but these issues have now faded from public prominence. Nonetheless, antagonism between two factions did come out when YAF national officers were disgruntled by radical libertarian literature tables and during discussion of abortion. They were just very disgruntled. At one point in the conference, the upper floor hotel corridors echoed to the sounds of the anti-statist songs of the Circle Bastiat of the 1950s as sung by the strongly libertarian contingent from Southern California. These people always raised hell in the hotel corridors. I don't know what it was about that period of time, but like I wasn't joking when I said they were running, screaming up and down in the hotel room corridors, in the guest room area. Like, that's just what YAF did back then. Underlying the activities of the conference was a tension between two tactical perspectives as well. The conservatives wished to realign the Republican and Democratic parties into conservative and liberal parties via the Reagan for President movement. Most libertarians, in contrast, wished to devote at least part of their electoral politics effort to an ideologically pure libertarian party. Hospers presented this perspective in his conference address. Here and there, however, were to be found libertarians who favored essentially merging the electoral politics activities of the libertarian movement into the Reagan for President movement. That is to say, they opposed running an LP candidate for president in 1976 and favored libertarians becoming the left wing of the Reagan drive. This tactical position was opposed by most other libertarian activists who argued that while it was correct to support reformist efforts like the Reagan candidacy to some degree, as long as they served libertarian ends, it was a mistake not to field a pure libertarian presidential candidate whenever possible. Only such a principled candidacy, those activists maintained, provides an occasion to present the goal of total liberty to much of the public. Needless to say, the likelihood of a strong Reagan campaign has diminished since July, now that Gerald Ford has ascended to the presidency. Also at the YAF conference was individualist anarchist Elizabeth Keithley, who won the California Peace and Freedom Party's gubernatorial nomination in the June primary. All right. That was quite a bit. God, this tiny print, I'm not digging it. Okay, we went over this. We did not go over this, I don't think. So I'm going to put that down. Okay, so tomorrow what we're going to go over, and that should be covering the whole issue, issue, and will be done in time for September, is Ford's policies threaten liberty, and this stuff on the LNC. Alrighty, so that is it for today. We probably got about another 45 minutes tomorrow. This was a jam-packed issue of LP news. And I did take a bit of the show to rant in the beginning, so this probably would have been closer to maybe a half an hour if I didn't do that. And I won't be doing that tomorrow because I got it out of my system, hopefully. So I will see you tomorrow. Again, apologies for my closing thank you screen not being up to date yet, but I really cannot say that I'm even going to remotely get to that until this weekend. Oh, by the way, speaking of this weekend, let's talk about the schedule for this week. So tomorrow will be another LP history. Thursday night is an LNC meeting. Go. See, it's going to be stressful. Friday, I'll be doing an LNC update, talking about what happened at the meeting. I am so freaking stressed out, I can't even tell you. Then I will be gone all weekend through Monday night. With it being Labor Day, we are going and camping with the LP Colorado, as we always do. Every year we have an annual Libertarian Party of Colorado camping trip. So we do free dispersed camping. It's not at a campground. It's up in the mountains in the boondocks. So we'll be doing that. But over that weekend, I'll record some more patron-only content with the problem of political authority. I've gotten a little bit behind on that. I'll update my closing screen. I'll be doing a bunch of LP work. We do Mutual 7 Freedom. Our LNC meetings are all online. let me show you where you can find that info, because somebody else might want to know that too. LNC meetings are, well, not all of them are online, but the ones in between our quarterly meetings, our special meetings, are all online. And even the quarterly ones you can attend online as well. Let me show you where to find this though. 1 second. There's Bunchy again, but let me, so if you go to lp.org, there's 2 places you can find it. Why isn't lp.org coming up? Did I not hit return? Oh, here we go. Okay. Right here, you'll see notice a special LNC meeting, September 1st. This is the meeting this Thursday, but you'll see I post notices for everything on our main page. But if you go there, you can see it's a Zoom link. You do need to register in advance. It just helps us cut down on trolls. But I'm going to give a fair warning for this meeting. Is it's very inside baseball. Other meetings might be more interesting for people who haven't been to our meetings regularly. And there probably is going to be large stretches of executive session. Executive session is secret session where the LNC will go into like a breakout room to discuss legal issues, and then they'll come back into open session. But if you're down with that, because you can still talk with everyone else who's in the room, if we'll unmute the mics in the meantime, maybe. I'm not sure if that's what they normally do. Just so that you know, there will be large stretches of executive session. But also, another place you can find these, if you go to events up in the top, where's our calendar, you can see like here, there was a meeting on the 11th. We've been meeting a lot. We met on the 25th. we're meeting on the 1st. And if you go to September, you see there's another meeting. Well, that's the 1st there. There's another meeting on the 11th. So all of our meetings are on there's probably going to be complex parliamentary action, as JJ said. And if you click on anything in the calendar, it will, I like that picture, by the way. It will give you the Zoom information. So there's ways you could always find out about our meetings. All right, I'm going to get going now. Thank you all for joining me. And now I got to go do some more work. I got historical records to alter. Okay, have a good night, everyone. Bye-bye.
Given, that's how we live it. Don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking like they politicians and choose to be an accountant because it's safe in a business.